Hello friends, I'm Robin Feicht at Stampin' Country. Welcome to my stamping studio. Today we're going to make this pop-up slider card. It's really quite easy to make, and the paper and the tree work together to make an elegant Christmas card. See the double layer tree and the shiny foil paper? Let me show you how we did this. We're going to start with a stitched rectangle die. I took one of the middle dies. It's approximately 2 3/4 by 4 inches. And we're also going to use 2 dies from the In the Woods die set to make our trees. We're going to use Whisper White cardstock with those to cut our trees. And then we're going to need a card base. Well, the foil paper is cut 5 1/4 by 4, and then the card base is 5 1/4 by 4 1/4. You want it just a little bit short so that we can have the pull out. And then a Whisper White piece of cardstock that's cut 3 3/4 by 5. And then this is going to be our pull out piece. It's 2 1/2 inches by 4 3/4. And the blue is Pretty Peacock cardstock. And here's the trees that we're going to layer. Are you ready to get started? We'll start by cutting the door or the window. I guess it's a door because it has a hinge on it. So you want to use your platform, your adapter, and a cutting pad. And then this is the Noble Peacock designer paper. We're going to place our rectangle die, cutting side down, in about the center of the paper. I'm going to use some repositionable tape to keep it in place. And then you'll notice where I'm placing the second cutting pad. We're leaving one end of the die so that it's not under the second cutting pad. Therefore, it won't cut. Super simple technique. But ta-da! Now we have a little door. Now we're going to cut our trees. These are the 2 dies from the In the Woods die set. I'm using Whisper White cardstock. Just run those through the Big Shot, cutting side down. And we'll come back to these in just a moment. I'll show you how to stack these so that you get a little dimension. Now to score that Pretty Peacock paper. I love this new cutter by Stampin' Up. It's got 3 places with the measurements. It has a fold-out arm. It goes all the way up to 17 inches. It has both a scoring and a cutting blade that cuts like a dream. And then I especially like this smaller side where you can cut little thin strips of paper that's 1 1/2 inches instead of the typical 3/4 of an inch. Now we're going to score so that it folds at the top. So we'll score across the top of where we cut with the rectangular die. And then you're going to go about halfway, approximately 2 3/4. But you don't necessarily have to measure that, just about halfway. And then you want, I don't know, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch at the bottom of your door. And that's going to be, I'll show you what that's going to do here in a minute. And then you want, this piece is just slightly narrower than the opening. You can fold that up so you can see where you need to put your adhesive. This is the tear and tape adhesive. It's a little bit stronger. It's going to hold everything in place. This is the mechanism that's going to make the pop-up slider. Now you'll notice that the Pretty Peacock paper is just slightly narrower than the designer paper, or where the opening is. Have that a little bit crooked. Okay, and a little bit should stick up at the top. We're going to use our, what is this? The Trio punch. This punch just has so many uses. And we're just going to punch a hole in the top. I want something to be able to pull. And we'll put a little bit of white baker's twine. Just tie a little bow. And that's going to be our pull tab. Super easy, right? Now the peacock base is 5 1/4 by 4 1/4. You need it just a little bit shorter so the tab sticks out. And then our Whisper White cardstock is approximately 3 3/4 by 5. You want it smaller than the designer paper, but not too small because you don't want it peeking out of the door. Then we're going to stamp our sentiment with the Winter Woods stamp set, thinking of you this season. And we're going to ink that with Pretty Peacock ink. There's really not a lot of supplies for this card. It's super simple to make. So we'll ink that up. And you want it centered towards the bottom. Leave a little space at the bottom. And that should fit in that window. It's looking good. And then we have adhesive on 3 sides of our frame. Just be careful to not put any adhesive at the top because that's where the slider goes. Now I'm going to fold out or bend out the little boughs on the tree. And then if we use these little mini dimensionals on some of the bigger spaces, it'll help pop up and make your tree dimensional. We can layer that on the base. And we're going to put some adhesive just on the bottom half of this tree. Place it, and ta-da! There we go. I hope you enjoyed this video and you'll make some cards of your own. If you did, be sure to like, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Thanks so much for stopping by and have a fabulous day.